Rockin' Robin's Kitchen is back. Hope everyone is feeling great and continuing to stay safe during this time. We do not know when this will end or we will be able to get back to the norm, but I wanted to come back and say we can keep our heads up, wear our mask, and wash our hands a lot. This week is another dish that my niece just shared with me the other day that she loves when I make it. And it's instead of using pasta for spaghetti and your meatballs or cooked up ground beef with your sauce, I use spaghetti squash. So today I want to show you how I prepare and cook the squash and how simple it could be. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to take a fork. What I've done is I've cleaned the squash, like run water over it, cleaned it up a bit. Of course, that we won't be eating the outside of it. Of course, everything that we'll be doing is on the inside, but it's just a thing for me. So we're going to take a fork and we're going to prick some holes in it, and we will get to that here shortly. Okay, as you can see, I have taken a fork and I have pricked holes all over the squash and just went all the way around it. With this size squash, I definitely I will preheat the oven around 375 to 400 depending on the size. But I will also watch it because sometimes, depending on your oven, I know with my oven, sometimes it has a tendency to cook a little quicker, or faster, I should say. And what I generally do is I put it like at the 375 and set the timer for about 45 minutes and watch it, because sometimes when it gets brown, maybe on the bottom of it, it's ready. I say it's ready because I've had it to happen a couple of times to where it's gotten brown on the bottom and it's really done on the inside. So you want to be able to handle it. Like after it's got out of the oven, I let it cool for maybe 30 minutes, if that. And I'll put my oven mitts on sometimes because I want to hurry up and get it, the squash out while while it's still warm because of the seasoning and everything else I put in with it. So, and we're going to go through that when it's done. But I wanted you to see how I just took the fork and went through all around the squash. And what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and bake it. And I put my rack, when it's this size, I put my rack closer to the bottom and put it in because this is kind of large to be having it on the top rack. So that's what I generally do. So once this is ready, I will be back and show you how I take the seeds out of it, scooping the seeds out of it, that filling, that part that's in the middle, and how I take the fork and make the squash and scrape the squash. So we'll be back shortly. Okay, so this is what it looks like after it has come out of the oven. What I've done is I will cut the end off where the stalk is on the bottom, and I will start the next step. Okay, I have completed baking the spaghetti squash. As you can see, it did get brown on the bottom. What I did was I let it, as I said before, I let it cool for about 30 minutes so that way I can handle it. Oh yes, I did still put my oven mitts on. So what I generally do is I start from the center here and start getting the seeds out of the way, all of the flesh, I call it, in the middle of it, so that I can work with it to be able to get the squash shredded, is what I call it. And then that way it's much easier to handle. I definitely don't want the seeds in the squash when I'm eating it, of course, but this way I can try to clean it out as much as possible. What I'll try to do here, for the sake of time, because I don't want to take up too much time with regards to clearing the whole thing out, but I want to at least get some of it so that way you can see with the fork, because you can kind of see a little bit that it's starting to do the strings of spaghetti here, but I just like to take my time with it. And then once I get these seeds out, I in turn will get that fork going and get the spaghetti, get the spaghetti going to plate up. And what I do is, once I get the spaghetti shredded out or forked out, I call it, but I'm using a lot of words here today, but either way, what I'm doing is I'm making sure all of the seeds are out of the way. And then I take the fork, and once I take that fork and start taking the fork to the side of it like this, like so, then you're working that spaghetti squash from the side. And like I say, you just keep working it until you get it all loose, and it's still good and hot. And just keep working with it until you get it out of the outer skin. And put butter. I usually put grass-fed butter, and then use my usual seasoning and just stir it up. And when we get back, you will see it plated up with some, ended up while the squash was cooking, I just did some ground beef. I just chopped it up, ground beef, on the stove, and then did some tomato sauce or spaghetti pasta sauce. So that way you'll see what the finished dish is like with the spaghetti squash. See you in a bit. Okay, so you will see, this is after I've scraped the spaghetti squash out of the shell, and this is what it looks like once it comes out. So it just takes the place of spaghetti or noodles or pasta, or however way you want to call it, but at the same time it's healthier. If you're a vegetarian, of course you wouldn't want to put the meat in the sauce. I've sometimes have done spinach in with it, and not the sauce, just spinach, just making a toss up with spaghetti squash and some cooked up spinach, and just make a dish out of it. So it's very simple. It just takes a little time, of course. And again, I hope you will enjoy trying it. Like I say, depends on the size of it and how long you cook it, but you can watch it and things of that sort. But please enjoy this healthy, simple recipe. Stay safe. Stay tuned for the next Rockin' Robin's Kitchen. Until then.